All right, guys, are we good to go? Cool, Grace. I'm going to go look at that right now. Oh, yeah, I see. Oh, good. All right, I'm looking at your body paragraph now, Grace. That's good because we can just clean it up a little bit, but it fits really well, so that's going to be perfect. All right, hang on just a second. I have Walt behind me. Okay, good. All right. So before we get rolling on body paragraphs, do you guys have any questions for me so far about what you've done with your intro paragraphs? Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Yep, that's totally fine. Yes, Hunter, I will look at that. Because I didn't get, so when you want me to look at them again, even if you've shared them with me in the past, go ahead and send it again so it's fresh in my email. Because sometimes going back and looking at them from a couple days ago just doesn't work as well. So if you hit share again, yeah. Perfect. Okay, cool. I actually might have enough time to do Grace's and yours. Let's see how fast we can roll on this. All right. So real quick, let's go through what I'm looking for in your body paragraphs, just like with your introduction paragraphs. And I'm trying to give you another outline that's kind of sentence by sentence so that if you're worried about getting a paper that's going to be long enough, if you have to write another body paragraph, you know exactly what you're doing and it just kind of rolls off when you write like this. So each body paragraph should start with a topic sentence to let your reader know the topic of the paragraph and to connect it back to your thesis and organization statement. Then you're going to do a CQC, which we practice with that field trip exercise. Now, you can either do one CQC, meaning that you're doing one group of the context, quote, and commentary, or you can do two in the same body paragraph. The only reason I would do two is if maybe you didn't have a lot to say in that first one and it's really short. Usually for me, one per body paragraph ends up being long enough, but especially like if you finish your paper and you're lacking some length, you can always go back and add another example into a body paragraph in that way. It's just like adding another example to prove your point. Hi, buddy. Can you see Walt? He's down. He's cute. He doesn't take naps. Everybody else does. All right. So, with that in mind, then your CQC could be anywhere from 3 sentences long to 6 sentences long, depending on how well you do it. Remember, just like in that exercise, you want to give your reader some background of what's happening in the story. You want to give the quote, but you want to make sure that that quote is integrated. And I'm going to give you an example so you can double check that you know what it means for a quote to be integrated. I do not want you to have super long quotes, mainly because for your commentary and your analysis, that should be longer than the quote you're using from the story. If your quote is longer than what you have to say about it, it's not a very good quote. And, you know, nobody wants to read a paper where it's supposed to be 4 pages long and in every body paragraph you just put a huge quote because you're trying not to write that much. Like, I know that trick too. So to try to prevent that, what I'm going to suggest is whatever quote you choose, however long that is, your commentary, your explanation of how that quote proves your argument should be twice as long as the quote. All right. And that's going to help you make sure that your quote is short, it's to the point, and that you're doing what you need to do in the paper. I know in those first essays, my constant comment, not just for you guys, but really for anybody at this point, is You need more analysis. I need more of you breaking it down for me and less summary or quoting of what's happening in the story. So I think by doing a sample one, you guys can kind of see what I mean by that, and that should help. And then finally, to do a transition sentence. This is just one sentence at the end of your body paragraph that lets your reader know, hey, I'm wrapping this up. I'm done talking about this topic, and I'm going to move on to the next body paragraph. And I'll help you do a sample one of those. All right, so Grace actually has already written a sample body paragraph, which is super helpful because we are going to use that to fit this model, and maybe clean it up a little bit if we need to, but I'm sure it's good. So I am copy and pasting Grace's paragraph in here right now. All right, so let's start at the beginning. We know first we need a topic sentence. Let's look and see if hers does the job. One of the many characters that show signs of PTSD and the things they carried is Tim O'Brien, the character. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And thank you for specifying here the character. Grace does a nice job with this because we know that we want people who maybe necessarily haven't read the book to still be able to read her paper and make sense of it. And if somebody hadn't read the book, they would be like, the author has PTSD? What does she mean? So she specifies the character. Nice topic sentence. We know that it relates to her argument because she's writing the PTSD essay. And I'm happy with that topic sentence. We're good with that. All right. So we're moving on now to our CQC. So first, before the quote, what comes in a CQC, guys? What goes first? Context. Very good, Grace. So yes, I see all my buddies typing context. Good job, guys. So she is giving us some context here in the chapter named Ambush. Just a formatting thing. Remember, we put our chapter titles in quotes. You did a good job putting your book title in italics, so that's good. On page 128, Tim talks about the day he killed a man and gets flashbacks occasionally and cannot get the sight of the man out of his head. Good context. Now, this is a good example here, Grace, because this is that integrating quotes piece. So you gave us the context, and then here comes the quote. In order to make sure that it's integrated and it doesn't seem random, all you have to do is just give a little background with a comma right before you start the quote. So you could just say, Tim thinks to himself, comma, and there you go. Now it's integrated. Does that help for my folks that were unsure about what is Ferguson saying when she's saying my quotes aren't integrated? Okay, good. And so you could say, good. So you could even say something like, when Rat is talking to Jimmy Cross, he says, and then give your quote. Just give a little something with a comma, and that ensures that that quote is integrated and it doesn't look just random. Now, even though you identified the page number up here that this quote comes from, I'm still going to say from a formatting standpoint, let's make sure we cite at the end. And this citation is in an MLA style. Because you're allowed to do MLA on this paper, and it's what you do when you write about a novel, typically that's what I suggest you do. So as you can see, I want to help with that part too. In an MLA quote, it goes in quotation marks, then your author page number in parentheses, and then the period goes all the way at the end. The only reason that you might put a piece of punctuation in here is if there is a question or an exclamation. Other than that, the period goes all the way at the end. I'm going to leave this example in here for those of you who are watching this to catch up later if you're on the trip, or if you guys are in here now and you want to check it again while you're writing to make sure that you got your body paragraph right. Are we cool on that formatting piece? It just takes practice. Yeah, it just takes a little practice. The more you do it, the easier it gets. Cool. All right. So now we can also see, and I mean, I'm not blaming Grace because she wrote this ahead of time, so it was before I really talked about long quotes. She's got a pretty thick quote here. And we're going to figure out how to trim it down just a little bit. And the one way that we can trim these down is by using the ellipsis. Can anybody show me what an ellipsis is? Do you know what an ellipsis is? Yes, good. The dot, dot, dots. Am I the only one who hates people who text message with a lot of those dot, dot, dots? I hate that. Yes. I always feel like, do you do it a lot? It's okay, it's okay. Like, maybe you can help me understand because, like, whenever I see the dot, dot, dots, I always imagine that, like, someone is saying what they're saying in, like, an irritated tone. So, like, when they say, "Okay, dot, dot, dot," I feel like that means that you're annoyed with me asking the question. Does that make is that how you feel? Is that what you mean by the dot, dot, dots? Like, "Leave me alone. I don't like you." Ah, okay, okay. Yeah, that's not a jerk move. That makes me feel a little bit better about it. I gotta get over my dot, dot, dots. But in a quote, it doesn't mean anything other than there was some other words here that aren't really, necessary in this situation, so I'm gonna replace them with a dot, dot, dot. So the way, um even though honestly, Grace, like this whole quote is good, and I think it really captures his PTSD because we know that we want to keep them short and sweet. I'm just going to go in and trim a little bit out. All right. I would cut that piece out right there. Let me see if I want to cut, and you can do this a couple times. So like I cut it out and replaced it with an ellipsis right there. I'm going to look some more and see if there's anywhere else. You can do, I mean, I think there is such a thing as doing too much. Like if you have a quote and there's 10 ellipses in it, like you're doing too much. But like 1 to 3 to get what you need to get across is okay. All right. Would you guys cut anything else out of that? Grace, especially since this is your paragraph that I'm chopping up. Do you think that works as far as like just cutting out a little bit, or do you think that we should take any more? And you guys also classmates, like if you think there's something else we can cut out, just go ahead and highlight. Highlight it for me, Grace, and show me what you're talking about because I should be able to see it. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, I think we can take that out. I'm cool with that. That I cut out. I know. It is hard. I understand that because he's trying to forget it. I guess too, Grace, and that's a fair point. It depends on the way. Could we take it back? Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So I'm going to cut that last part out. And I'm going to go back to your other paragraph and let's see. Okay. I'm copying and pasting some things back. All right. Actually, why don't we just start right there? In the ordinary hours of life, I try not to dwell on it now and then. Are you happy with that? Yeah, I'm happy with that too. I think if we do it that way, let's work on how we integrated this a little bit more. Well, no, because you've got this. Yeah, in your context, you talk about getting flashbacks and cannot get the sight out of his head. All right, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the length of the quote. I'm happy with all that. That's good. All right, so after we've got our quote, we've got our citation, and now it's time to do our commentary. And like I said, our commentary needs to be, I mean, ideally it needs to be twice as long as the quote. This is a pretty fat quote, so I mean, at least if it's as long as the quote, which it's looking pretty similar in length, so that's a good sign too. All right. Tim reveals that he does not always forgive himself for his acts that, in a way, he was forced to do through a war he was drafted for. Good analysis. He shows that when he's busy with his daughter and life adventures, it's easier for him to keep the war, the man he's killed, off his mind. Although when he's not as busy with life, it's very difficult to forget and forgive himself for taking someone's son. Good. All right. And so now, to ensure that your commentary is full, you've got to make sure that you hit this piece. You have to explicitly explain how is that a sign of PTSD. So that last little bit, we just need to say something along the lines of frequent flashbacks are a symptom of PTSD. And Tim's, bless you. Tim's visions suggest that he continues to suffer years after the war. Are we cool with that? All of my PTSD folks, that needs to be in every body paragraph. Tell me, and I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, well, it's pretty obvious. I've already explained in this paper that flashbacks and anxiety and all of this stuff are symptoms. And so, like, any idiot should be able to read my quote and tell that he has PTSD and that he's experiencing symptoms. You have to assume that your reader, even though your reader is me, you have to assume that I'm an idiot. Okay. And so you have to explain everything real good for me. You got to play a different game because I can't help you with that right now. You have to explain everything really good and really clearly for me so that there's no question in my mind how Tim has PTSD after I read that analysis. Does that make sense? Maybe. Hunter's, I got a yes from Hunter. What else are y'all at? You gotta put the white rocks in, babe. All right. So all my PTSD folks, you're prepared to, when it's time, go in that analysis piece and explain how your quote shows it's a symptom. Now, if you look at your quote and you say, well, this doesn't really show a symptom of PTSD. This just shows that something traumatic happened. Well, then you might need to think to yourself, okay, well, then maybe this is not the best quote. Because when I have been reading over some of the PTSD quotes, there's no question that the quotes you're picking sometimes can show the trauma that sparks it. And I guess in your analysis, you can explain that. But really, if you have a good quote, it should be able to show me how this character is suffering from those symptoms. Also, for this commentary piece, if you find yourself having a really hard time finding anything to say about that quote, that you can do it while you do it. Then that means you picked a crappy quote and you got to go find a different quote. Also, if you get stuck at that point, that's a good time to ask me for help. You can even just email me and say, hey, look at this body paragraph. Here's the quote that I have, but I have a hard time talking about it. Do you think I just need to get another quote? Can you suggest a quote? I mean, I'm not going to get all your quotes for you, but if you're really stuck, I can help you find one. Sound good? He's doing a rock sorting game and he needs lots of help. All right, cool. All right, awesome. So that gets us through the commentary piece. Now, again, like I said before, rocks. Yeah. Did you guys watch Sid the Science Kid when you were little? On PBS? You know what I'm talking about? You're probably lucky. Yeah, it's like you have to sort the rocks by color. Yeah. And he knows his colors, but the way that the game is formatted, he has a hard time doing it. So he wants to like hold my hand and me do it for him. Which, to be honest, I like holding his hand because one day he won't want to hold my hand. So it's cool. All right. So, analysis aside, you can also see that you can follow this pattern again and just say another example is and do another quote if you want to. However, this is a pretty thick body paragraph. So, I think one example here is more than enough. And then at the very end, we want to wrap up with a transition. So one sentence to wrap up this paragraph and move on to the next. Transitions kind of stink because you don't want to give away what your next body paragraph is going to be about. Or, ew, did you just rub snot on me? Oh, mucus. Hey. Oh, and he sneezed on my hand. Oh, God. At least it's not poop. It's not poop, at least. I'm just going to wipe it on your shirt. Mom of the year here. Okay. I'm so sorry. That it's nasty. All right. So let's wrap up this thing with a transition so you guys have some time. So all I would say for these transitions is just that. Poor baby. Tim wasn't the only one to suffer from PTSD symptoms. And so do you see how that's a transition? It's a subtle way of telling your reader, like, okay, I'm done talking about Tim and I'm going to talk about somebody else in the next paragraph, but you can't, you never know who. And so you can try to find ways to change that up in all of your transitions so that you can say, like, and there are other people, or no doubt Vietnam caused a lot of problems, or something like that, just to let your reader know, okay, done talking about this guy. And that's it. And that's what your body paragraph should look like. I'm going to change the font so you can see. I'm also going to show you guys, yes, Grace, snag it. I'm going to leave it in here too for you. Again, also for the people who want an example. I want you guys to see when you do it this way and you follow this format, look how long that thing is. It's almost half a page. So if you're real concerned about length, I swear just following that format is really going to help you there. Sorry that I'm bumping your names around and messing that kind of stuff up. And then Grace, of course, like, this is your paragraph that we cleaned up, and thank you for already having one ready for us. That made it really easy. All right. So what do you guys think? Thank you. All right. Do any of you guys have any questions about parts of these body paragraphs? How are you feeling? Like, do you feel more confident about getting this paper done now, or are you still pretty worried? And if so, what's worrying you? More confident. All right, cool. So Hunter's ready. All right, I'm going to take the silence. More confident, says Chandler. Good. All right, Gabe's ready. Okay, great. Jonathan's more confident. Okay, good. Yeah, let's get it, Jordan. That's right. Like I said, and I really hope that this format sticks with you, because structuring your body paragraphs like this works in any class, and you can do it. Oh, don't die. Don't die on me. Yeah, gain the grain. Sounds good. Seems legit. Okay. Nab this man. Oh gosh. Okay, my loves. Well, if you all are feeling confident and that example works for you, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. You ain't no fortunate son. Oh, somebody's been listening to Creedence. That's a good one. There's lots of good anti-Vietnam music. Tickle your feet. Okay. Boy. Okay. Boy. All right, my loves. I'm giving you time to draft. Friday, you've got all day in class tomorrow. You can just work on typing this paper. I also put an announcement out on Sunday night. I've got some papers of my own to write for my doctorate classes. So after 8 p.m., I've got dual computer screens. I'll just leave my email up on one screen, and probably between like 8 and 11 p.m., which is right before it's due. It's due at 11:59. If you have a question for me while you're drafting or you need help with something, send me an email and I should be able to get back to you pretty fast. If not, especially while you're in class tomorrow, tomorrow morning, I've got some stuff that I'm doing with the kids, but this time tomorrow afternoon while you guys are writing, if you need anything, just email me and I should be able to get back to you real fast. Send it to my VT email. If you do the ericamm@vt.edu, that comes right to my phone. I get on Dr. Ferguson's Southwest one to do these Google Docs now because then I can see who everybody is and how you're typing. But yes, when you send me your paper, if you do it to that VT one, I think it was Abigail's doc or maybe even Sabrina's the other day. Somebody, when you emailed me your doc in the afternoon, I just like hopped on it right on my phone and could type in some comments from my iPhone, which was really easy. All right, guys. Well, do any of you need anything else, or are you good to go? Mark's gonna go get the Nan, whatever that is. I mean, I know what Nan is. Okay, Hunter. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go play games with Walt, and I will talk to you tomorrow then. See ya.